Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson, blending survival fiction and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Hello and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 451, I believe, or it's like 453. I don't know. I'm losing count. We've done so many. I will find out when I post it, and then I will definitely make sure that when we have our 500th episode anniversary, we'll go ahead and do something special for that show. We got some cool shows coming up in the future. One I'm particularly excited with. Going to be meeting with another audio drama producer in the same genre. So really excited about that meeting. And tonight we have no Chin because, well, I have a Chin, but my co-host Chin Gibson is not here because he is just busting booty, getting ready for prepper camp, which is next weekend. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, it's a little late. Sometimes you can find people that had last minute things come up and couldn't make it or whatever, be able to get some tickets that way. But it's pretty much too late. They shut down sales. I believe we sold out again this year, so it's been shut down for a little while. And the event is now lined up, ready to go. No stopping the wheels turning at this point. So I really wanted to get on and do a podcast with you tonight because I missed last week. We were just going crazy, getting ready for different, for it's back to school time. Everything's coming all at once. And I've been working like a mad woman, just trying to keep all of the projects rolling uh, while we're getting ready for so many other ones. And I had a problem with my book order. And so there's not really an excuse. The reason for the show tonight is because we missed last week's show. So Chin even gave me a heads up, and I was having a tech free day. I didn't even think about it. I just didn't want to look at my phone. So here we are tonight doing the show. Tonight's show is going to be fast and a little bit different pattern than what you might be used to. We will do our big shows and have fun with that and do deep dives into concepts because I love learning. And the more I can share with y'all, the better. So we will still do our deep dives. But tonight I wanted to let you know about a new nightly forecast, a new nightly program that I'm doing. So every night at 9:30 Central Standard Time ish, I'm trying to hit 9:30, but give or take, uh, given what the night's doing. And I know it's late. It's maybe not so bad if you're out in Pacific hours, but it's late for you East Coasters. But I'm a night owl and I have a lot to do during the day with the homestead as far as the chickens go and things like that, and all of the training that I do, and then all the projects that I'm working on, and then still working a normal work week. So that's just the best time for me to really connect with you. And the plain and simple fact was I was missing y'all. So there's so many friends that I have across the country, across the world. And I really just wanted to give a time where I could connect with you and you could connect with me. So I go live on Facebook, but then I do the reposts on Twitter, on YouTube. So you'll be able to catch those nightly broadcasts. But if you want to connect with me, you need to do that over on Facebook, and I'll be there every night so that you can say hello if you have any questions or questions for survival stuff, for direction of our country, for author. If you have author questions on how I self-published all these books, what kind of the ins and outs are there, or and then well, the biggest thing that I really wanted to do is called positive cloud seeding. So, I've been on a really big journey since I left California in 2020. And now here we are in 2026. And it's been a very big spiritual journey for me, a really big look inside of who I am and what I believe and where I want to go and just how I want to live my life from day to day, the mental status that I want to exist in from day to day. And I've learned a whole bunch of really great things. I have been studying the heck out of the Bible. And no, I'm not going to just go on there and preach the Bible because I don't want to be responsible for that. If you know me, you know that most of my beliefs and whatnot are going to lie heavily within Christ's word. But I don't want the responsibility of teaching you all about it. I'd rather be somebody who educates through just, what I exude in life. So, with the positive cloud seeding, my journey didn't start at the feet of Jesus. It was researching many different ways to just improve your mental status, where my head was at, just exist on a different vibrational plane, to really uplift myself to beat depression away and live a joyful life. And the more and more that I researched, the more that it brought me back to the feet of Christ. So that's, why my faith has grown so strong and why I've been able to, really beat away a lot of depression that a lot of people are struggling with and a lot of anger and learn how to emotionally control myself, which is honestly something I never thought I'd be saying in my lifetime. I really, really struggled with a hot head and emotions that I had a hard time getting under control. Once I had a feeling that my whole day was blown away and I really couldn't get myself back together. So, my spiritual journey has been a really important part of my life, and I'm so eager to share that with you just through positive cloud seeding. Just little tips and tricks on how you can start implementing some of these things in your day-to-day existence and become a healthy, happier person, and really, really, vibrate on that way. So like I say, a lot of it does come back to the feet of Christ, but I'm not going to be the one to hit you over the head with it. That's a journey you have to take on your own and look inside your own heart and see what you find there. So, with that being said, today I'm going to kind of do a rundown, so to speak, of what I do in these nightly live shows. Again, if you want to come see me live, come check it out on Facebook. If you go to changingearthseries.com, it'll link you straight through. This is on my personal platform that I do it on. You know me, I'm not really into trying to have you guys pay for things or whatever. If you want to do that, that's, you pay where you're fed, and if you feel that you're getting fed by me, I love that. That's awesome. That's what I'm here to do. And you can definitely become a subscriber, buy some books, stuff like that over at changingearthseries.com. But I don't want anyone to have to like pay for content or do stuff like that. So I try to keep that to a minimal. Although I do have bills to pay as well, so it certainly does help me out if you do feel like coming over and becoming a subscriber and supporting the Changing Earth and the mission that we're on. I'd love to be able to hire like some people to help me out with the audio drama so we could increase the sound quality and everything of it. Of course, I'd love to be able to bring the Changing Earth series to life. And one of the options that I've had is to bring it to animation privately. And so that'd be something I'm looking into. There's goals that I have that I'd really like to fulfill. And you all can help me get there if you're willing. So that'd be great. Okay, so like I said, today we are going to do some Changing Earth news, and I'm going to do a bite like I do at nighttime because honestly, we are also getting ready to leave this coming Wednesday for prepper camp. So, we've been at it all day and we're still putting together costumes for the tinfoil hat competition and making sure that Christian is ready for his first day of school and things like that. He's going to be a freshman this year, so it's quite an honor to be his mother. I definitely feel blessed by both my sons that they're amazing individuals, and what a blessing it is to have them as my kids. So we're we're busy folks ourselves, so I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet. And I don't have Jen with me, so we were going to do the show on the gardens and like on prepper camp, what you can see there this year. You can go over to preppercamp.com and look at all the wonderful classes they're going to have this year. It's going to be just amazing. The schedule is on fire, so it's pretty cool. So maybe when we come back, we can do like a prepper camp recap. We used to always do a live from prepper camp, but unfortunately, Phil Reblay from Matter of Facts podcast doesn't come out as much as he used to, and he used to be a big organizer of that. So everybody really misses him. But life it gets crazy, and we balance. We wear a lot of hats, and we do a lot of stuff. So I understand his need to take some time off, and really worry about the family and whatnot. So respect to him for that note. So during the lives at night, I always do a survival tip. I've kept these pretty focused on self defense right now because I believe it's really, really important for you to have a good basis for self defense. I think that all of the preparedness, planning, and stuff and tools and all this, it doesn't amount to squat if you're not self defense ready, if your body is not capable of doing what you want it to do, if you can't go out and get in a fight and still, be able to get your chores done and stuff the next day. So I really focus a lot on self defense. Obviously, I focus a lot on it in my own personal life, both because I've been a victim once, but and that's just my lifestyle now. And I love to train other people and help them achieve, that confidence of knowing you can go out into the world and you can handle, 90% of what's going to be thrown at you. So that's why I focus there a lot. It's kind of hard for me to give you like online instruction when it comes to self-defense because you really need to be there in person. You need to know that like what the technique that you're doing and stuff is not flawed, and what that really looks like. So I try to pick, generic things that you can really apply. And if you're coming out to prepper camp, come on over to my class. I teach self-defense class out there and also an anti-kidnapping and sexual assault class. So head on over there. We can definitely go through it. So tonight, if you're interested in those tips and tricks, head on over to if you're watching on X, you can head on over to Sarah Hathaway 19. And I'm doing live shows there every night. They get posted. I'm live on Facebook. So if you have personal questions or whatnot, you can come visit me at 9:30 on Facebook. So my survival tip for tonight is not a self-defense one, but it's a really important one. The first episode of the Changing Earth podcast that I ever did, we introduced the book Day After Disaster, and the earthquake happens on that first moment. And so I had Lisa Bedford on. She's otherwise known as the survival mom, just an incredible person. And, I was thinking like, oh, back then I was thinking like, oh, you could go loot somebody or whatever. And she was like, "Yeah, but that's somebody's stuff. Like, what if they're away out of town and then they come home and like it's gone?" And I mean, I get it. So you can make arguments either way there. But she really opened my eyes to some of the thought patterns I was using back then, as far as what, a survival scenario would look like. And nowadays, the prayer is that we would never turn into that Mad Max scenario, that we'd be able to pull together as Americans and really make it work no matter what challenges came at us. So, would I change my books? Absolutely not. But because it made for a fantastic story. But I'm hoping that real life, that I am not the next Nostradamus, and that real life would be a lot different. So the survival tip for tonight is, do you know how to shut your utilities to your house off? If there's a disaster, whether that's a flood, a fire, a tornado, an earthquake, a hurricane, it is really, really important to know how to shut the utilities to your home off. So, your gas, your power, your electric. And if you're a husband out there and you're like, yeah, yeah, I know how to do all that. Well, does your wife? Do your children? And I'll tell you honestly, it's not something that I know how to do just off the bat. That is not my realm. Like, I take care of bills and, the household stuff. And that is definitely all my husband's department. And he's showed me probably 3 or 4 times. And could I go out there and do it right now? No, I definitely couldn't. I know where they are, and maybe I could fumble through it, but when you don't practice something, then it just falls out of knowledge. So, um, we have a binder, and there it's written how to do it and like what tools to use and things like that. And that way, if something were to happen at the house and he wasn't here, any one of us could go shut the utilities off. So that was my big tip for tonight, is make sure you know how to shut the utilities to your house off. Really, really important stuff. And don't let just one person, whether that's the husband or the wife, don't let just one person know how to do it. Make sure everybody does. So when I was reviewing the first episode of Changing Earth, which is crazy because my first episode of the Changing Earth podcast I did in 2014. So it's well over 12 years. I mean, if you listen to my whole podcast, you're just going to go through a crazy journey with Sarah over 10 years of living and existing, and how far I've come. And it's really crazy to listen to. But when you listen to it there, that is actually the first version of my book. So it's the disaster. It starts with Erica in the bunker. The earthquake hits and she's trapped. And if you've read my books, you're going, wait a minute, that's not how it goes. And that's because I didn't have any dialogue for like the first 3 chapters. And when I was sharing it to like literary reviewers and things like that, they were looking for dialogue, and you usually only share the first 3 chapters. So I thought, that's kind of crazy. I need to do a little revamp on that book so that I can bring it in. So now it starts out in a ton of action, and it's a great feed through, and I'm really happy with how I did it. But if you listen to the Changing Earth podcast, you're going to be like, wait a minute, that's not how it starts. Well, that's how it originally started. So that brings me into my author tip for today, is you can go back and fix your work. You can do a second edition, a third edition from your book, and it's okay to do that. Like, that's no big deal. If you're unhappy with something later, feel free to do that. One of the hiccups I made was I totally deleted my first book. So I lost all my reviews. And so now my reviews for my current book look like they're less because I had deleted the first edition of it. And so when you do that, make sure you just do it as an update to the content, or else you do lose those reviews. And that was really a bummer. It's honestly something I'm still struggling to make up for, even at this point in my career. So if you haven't left a review for my book, by all means, get out there and do it, even if it's day after disaster. But yeah, so I wouldn't recommend that, but you can go back and revamp your work. It is a really hard thing to do because my first book was my baby, and I just loved it so much. And to go back and redo areas and literally change the structure of the first chapters and whatnot, you just want to make sure you're doing it complete justice, and that was tough. So yeah, author tip, you can do it. You know what you can do? You can do whatever you want, because when you self-publish, you're the only one holding yourself accountable, and that's hard for some people. But I set a tone in my life and with myself as much as I do with other people. So it was a interesting, challenging exercise, but you can do that. Would I want to do it again? Heck no. no way. Like now they're done, they're there, and that's why they're all being marketed out for a TV series and whatnot. All right, so my new segment, my nightly lives, is the 20, or no, wait, 45 tips to turn America communist. So I found this list that was introduced to Congress in the 60s. It's from the book called The Naked Communist, and it was 45 ways that communists would use to turn America into a communist country. It's really spooky and really scary how many that we've already accomplished. I also have that full blog done. And I've been looking back at stuff, so I can bring you a really awesome show and some great new content, with stuff. There's so much content to learn over on my site that, trying to package that up in an organized way. So I did a show on, the dangers of America turning into this communist country and highlighted these. The link there no longer works to the 45 items, but man, it's easy. I just looked it up in DuckDuckGo. A site called theamericanreport.org. They had all 45 still posted there. So it's not like they're being hidden at this point. But by all means, print them out because you never know what they're going to make, producers take down from the internet. Uh, okay, so I was gonna squirrel for a second, but we'll stick to our point. So number two on that list is the US's willingness to capitulate in preference to engaging in atomic war. So I love the old language. Our language is getting so simplistic that it's incredible. And actually, the AI has been programmed to, once certain words are being used less and less, to eliminate them altogether from the vocabulary of what it's responding with. So that's also crazy. I don't understand. Well, I do understand why they want to dumb down, but man, get your dictionary out and keep learning the words. The bigger vocabulary you have, the better. So I looked up because I understood what capitulate means, but I wanted a for sure definition of what this word means, right? So it means to surrender under specific conditions, to give up all resistance, to acquiesce or yield. So let's just put this back in context. US willingness to yield in preference to engaging in atomic war. Isn't that what we got right now? Oh, well, we all go to nuclear destruction if we don't, if we don't come to the table, if we don't bow down, dude, they're the one they're going to get they're in the same boat. So I don't understand why that should be something for us to agree to work with belief systems that we don't believe in. Money was the whole reasoning behind it, and the amount of money that we could glean off of systems that our values used to stop us from dealing with, from interacting with before. And I think that's a huge problem. The value system being eroded is just it gets worse and worse and worse for us. We just really have to get it together and have some moral values. Again, it's not very difficult. You just can't have money as your end all be all. You have to be able to say no, I don't want it. I'd rather keep my value system. And my books, Erica, I mean, she's not with money, but it's with, you could have a nice soft cushy life. You could have this life if you just like stop fighting for other people, if you just give up what was and just understand that this is what's now. And it was like, no, slavery is never going to work in any country, and especially not in the United States of America. So yeah, we got some work to do on that old value system. One of the freakiest things I've heard lately is, Tim Tebow set up that foundation for stopping human trafficking. Amen for him for taking that on his shoulders, for that being his mission. But he had a video up of all of the um, pornographic sites, like IP addresses that have been downloading, and specifically child rape. And it was disgusting. It was disgusting to see how much the United States was just splattered with activity from that. And that is just a complete erosion of any kind of moral values that will not stand in God's house. So I hope you're thinking about your next life, and you're not engaging in any kind of that activity. It's just disgusting. Okay, so we come off of these really hard topics, and I'm for sure going to talk about it, even though, I've been nuclear bombed off of sites before for fighting the good fight, for trying to stand for your freedom, for my freedom, for our choices. And specifically during the virus time, and it took me a long time to even be able to get my accounts back. So, am I scared about losing them? Yeah, I'm scared about losing them, but I've been through it before. Everybody that really wanted to stick with the changing earth, that believed in me, that supported me, they have been there for me the whole time. And whether I was on that site or not, I give out my phone number freely to anybody who wants to communicate with me, whoever has questions. I'm not the type of person who's going to be like, no, I'm too good for you now. That's just never going to happen. I really want to make the world a better place, and I believe that one person at a time is the best way to do that. So, yes, I'm a little freaked out about it, but that's just the way it goes. If we allow it to silence us, then that's no good. It's just like Brad Skismus's song "Five Times August." I will not be leaving quietly. If you haven't heard that song, you should check it out. That's really one of the reasons why I got back onto Facebook, was because of that song. And it's basically like, no, you can hate me and just, all that stuff, but I'm not going to go quietly, and I never will. So I'd much rather stand on my feet than be on my knees. And if we don't have voices fighting for what's right in the world, then we're in big trouble. So you can always count on me. I'm not the type that's going to fold, or or give up on the mission. I believe too much in this country, and I know what it once was, and I know what made it great. And I believe in the Lord, and the Lord made this place what it is. It is the beacon of freedom. I absolutely love it. Yes, I am scared of my government. Yes, I am scared of the corporations. But I think that if we allow it to silence us, we are in big trouble. So here I am. So I promise you positive. Positive cloud seeding for tonight is: keep your spirits high and your faith strong by writing down 3 things that you are grateful for. What top 3 things are you grateful for in your life? And under the spirit of sharing and whatnot, I will share my top 3 things with you all, even though it's highly personal. But I believe this is a really important step to keeping your mental status up. Because the minute you start to go down, the minute your eyes start to drift from Jesus and you start sinking in the water instead of standing with him on it, then you can look at these 3 things that you're grateful for and be reminded of, it's not so bad. And tomorrow's a new day, and you get to wake up and you get to try again. And even if you slipped up today, oh well, there's tomorrow, right? So my top 3 things are: I'm thankful for the emotional calm that I've gained through my relationship with Jesus. I'm a really, really different person now. Yes, I still like to fight, and yes, I still train my butt off. But emotionally, I'm an entirely different person. I have really learned to differentiate between my ego and my true feelings. I've learned to take that breath before I react, to stay quiet in the moment so that my brain has time to process, instead of just flying off emotionally and going out of control to where, you end up saying things you regret, doing things you regret, that kind of thing. To just take that moment to breathe and ask Jesus, how would you like me to respond to this? How should I respond to this? How would he respond to this? Right. So I'm really thankful for that. The second thing that I'm really, really thankful for is my family. My husband is, I know it's like people that read my books are like, oh my gosh, can you quit saying how in love you are with your husband? And I thought that was just something normal. I absolutely adore him. He's a wonderful father. He is my biggest fan. And we are just a team in everything we do. He always makes me feel beautiful and I'm kind of a rugged type person. He accepts me for who I am and is man enough to be that man that can stand side by side with somebody who is not afraid to voice her opinion and do those things. So I'm really thankful to have him in my life, and our sons are absolutely incredible. I was already mentioned earlier. I mean, they're not rockets. They're not rocket science or we have our problems, right? But they are such wonderful people, and we are such good friends as a family. And I'm really thankful for that because I see a lot of horror stories and now we're a multi-generational household, with my mom, with me and my husband, and then my two sons. One's 26. So people are like, oh man, aren't you ready to get him out of the house? And it's like, nah, I'm really not. He's a great guy and he's doing wonderful things, and I know that he'll find his stride. And so yeah, I'm really, really thankful for that. The third thing that I am super thankful for is the amazing support network that I've met through doing podcasting and through sharing my dreams and my journeys and my stories with all of you. It's been an incredible ride, and I have met so many just fantastic people. Chin in particular, he's like the big brother that I never had, and so many more that I can't even name them all, but they're all so spectacular. Everybody from PBN, I mean, just so many great, incredible people that I've met along the way. Ellen out in Australia, just because she was listening to my podcast and she reached out to me, and now, she comes in to visit me, and so I'm serious when I say that, I'm a pretty open person. But yeah, all these incredible spirits that I've met along the way have just made everything worth it. And they force me to celebrate things when I might not have chosen to do it myself. So, for example, if you're watching on a video platform, let's see if I can. Oh, it's drowning out because I have my AI background on because my office is a mess. Here, I'll try and put it in front of myself. So, this is a placard that Chin bought me when I reached 10 years of podcasting. And like, I was excited about it. I'm like, wow, dude, it's been 10 years. It's crazy, right? And then this arrives in the mail. I was like, I, it's just stuff like that just, um, I'm the type of person. I'm kind of like TJ Swenson, I guess. I have the next goal, and I have the next goal, and I have the next goal, and usually by the time I hit one goal, I'm already looking like three goals ahead. And so I don't really take that moment to God, I'm sorry. I don't really take that moment to revel in that we reached the goal and we did it, right? And people in my life, which is one reason why I wanted to do the Facebook lives again, have really made me stop and think about certain milestones I've achieved and things like that. So that is, I mean, those three things that if you can't get your heart warmed up and stay in a positive place when you're staring at that. So write down your three things that you're most thankful for, put them on a sticky note, and then put them like in multiple places if you have to. Like put them on your bathroom mirror. And that way you're always looking at them, and you can always go back to them and be like, yeah, yeah, that's life's good. I got all this stuff to be thankful for. Sure, I want more things. I have more goals, obviously. I'm like super driven to learn and keep going. But it gives you that moment to stop. So that's the other three things that you write down. Where am I going? So this doesn't have to be like I'm going to have a new job, but it could be, right? Pick three things. Where am I going? Things that you are going to hold true to. And in the spirit of disclosure, I will also share my three things that I have written down. Now, again, it's not like I'm going to get a new car or something like that. I guess I'm a little hokey and smushy when it comes to this kind of stuff. You have to treat yourself well, right? You have to forgive yourself and you have to treat yourself well. So, where am I going? I am going to remain honest and true to the Lord no matter what. That is my goal. No matter what happens to me in life, I'm going to remain humble before the Lord. All the glory goes to him and not to me. Whether I'm here today or gone tomorrow, I will be living with Christ, and all the glory goes to him. He has completely changed my life, and the successes that I already give to him, because I always said, like, I have a writing angel on my shoulder. I don't know how it comes out and how I produce these things. I don't know how I'm so tenacious and how I'm so persistent and dedicated, and all of those things are gifts that I was given. It's not something that I mean, I honed it through martial arts and stuff like that, but still, you have to have that commitment to begin in the first place. I try to give it to everybody else because I think it's really important. But all the glory goes to him, and I will remain humble, respectful, honest, and true. I will also keep the childlike wonder within me. Christ says to come before him with a childlike wonder. And I know exactly what he's talking about. When you allow the BS of the world to really get into your heart, when you allow those things to hurt you, when you allow that bitterness and that hatred to start growing to where, you don't want to, for example, at my work right now, it's really a mess with insurance in the state of California, and we get yelled at, and we haven't been able to really market our products for 3 years because we've been on a pause. And so all we're doing is picking up the phone day after day after day, talking to angry people. And that could really harden your heart. That could, some days you're afraid to pick up the phone the next time. And that could really start to jade you. I've had people degrade my work online, all that kind of stuff. And I could be better about it. But you know what? Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And I'm sorry it doesn't work for them. But that's not a weight I have to carry on my back. And so I always want to learn. I always want to be open to a new experience. And sometimes I even wrote by this pointer that this is going to hurt. This is something I know that is going to hurt me, because there's times, like, I'm not saying I'm not going to use discernment and do my best, but there's times that maintaining a childlike wonder hurts you, because you leave your heart open to get smushed again. You leave your heart open for that next person to tell you, yeah, man, we are together. We are like brother and sister. We are besties. And then they walk out of your life and you're just like, what happened? And you could be bitter and not want to meet the next person, or like, well, nobody ever calls me, right? So why should I call somebody else? Well, you could do that, but what's that about, right? That's hatred and anger and bitterness creeping in. So I always want to have that childlike wonder of, I'm okay and I'm open to the next experience, and I can deal with pain. It's okay. And maybe there's a chance that I'm going to help somebody and change their life. So I'd rather, I choose to maintain that vulnerability and knowing that there's times when it's going to hurt me. But, with my journey with Christ, the seasons change, and his word does not. And that's the steady. And so you just come to accept that sometimes seasons change, and that's okay. And people have to go on their own journeys, and that's okay as well. I'm obviously a pretty loyal person. So, yeah. And then I will shine light in dark places. So whenever we find out about things that really, really like human trafficking, as soon as I found out about like the depth that was happening there and that people are still living as slaves and they don't have any chance for the life that I had, and these horrific things that are happening to children, multiple times a day. I mean, I'm just fired up over it, and it just pissed me off that anybody could even think of treating. How could you even imagine treating somebody that way? And it pissed me off so bad that I was willing to put my platform at risk, my book series at risk, everything at risk to shine that light in that darkness, to be that voice for somebody else. And that's why I give all props to Tim Tebow for doing what he's doing. I mean, it's a hard step to take, and you're ridiculed um, because the sickness is so deep throughout society, and people are like, "Oh, well, I don't want to do that work. Do you want to do that work?" And no, I don't. So why don't we treat people nicely and pay them properly to do the work they're doing? And how about this? We don't treat people like crap and use them as objects and grow them up then to harvest their bodies and things like that. I mean, I just seen pictures out of Africa, these kids, two or three of them in like plastic bags being hauled into town to be sold to the highest bidder. And that's just not something that I can sit back and be like, yeah, there's no problem there. That's cool. No. I'm going to shine the light on it no matter what that means. And there's some things that have to be said, because if you stay quiet, it's almost as bad as you're the one doing it. And that's truly what God says and tells us in the Bible, is for you to be quiet when you see that these atrocities are happening. That's just as bad as you being the one that's committing the atrocity to begin with. So that's not something I'm going to do. And luckily, I have the full support, of my family on those missions and stuff, because they understand and they're right there with me to fight against whatever comes down our pipeline. Honestly, so those are my three. I told you I was going to get a little smushy because but I wanted to share with it personally, just to show you, like, it doesn't have to be like, where am I going, doesn't have to be like a new car, a new house, a new barn for the homestead, right? Where am I going in my heart? Like, what person do I want to be in 5 years? And that doesn't just mean like, what stuff do I want to have in 5 years? If I could have thought in 2020 that this is where I was going to be in 2026, I would have told myself I was crazy, that there's no way that you're going to, be studying the Bible multiple times per day and be absolutely committed and have found such joy. And I was a complete control freak and stepped aside and let Christ lead my family instead. And we've never done anything better for our family. Like, no one person can do that. I don't care if you're the father, the mother, the grandmother, the grandfather, whatever. No one person can do that except for Jesus. So, I just, it's changed me so much emotionally. It's changed me so much physically, that if you would have told me this, 6 years ago, I'd have been like, you are nuts. There's no way. So hopefully my positive cloud seeding will give you guys a little bit of help on how to get there yourselves, how to, not use medication, but use, the Lord's word to pull you out of these depths and the anger that we're kind of stuck in. If you're just joining me now, discussing that every night I'm going live on Facebook at 9:30 p.m. You can come over and check out the show. There's survival tips, author tips, and then our positive cloud seeding segment, and so much more there. And so that's every night. But I've also post the replays on Twitter, on X, on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, and over on Facebook. It is my personal account. So just look for Sarah Hathaway. And it's me standing next to my heavy bag. And that's where I go live. So if you want to connect with me, other than the once a month that we do here, I'm not sure why the chat is not working here. Yeah, so I can't pick up your comments when I'm live casting here, but I can over there on the Facebook platform. And then if I end up getting, if they don't like what I have to say on there again, and we end up having a similar situation to what happened in 2020, then you'll find me over on X. I mean, they've always supported me and never had a problem with any of my content. I don't know what the deal is, why they don't want people to speak about freedom and, you know, I don't know, survival and sharing like good survival techniques from my books and whatnot. But obviously, they have had a problem with that. So we just keep forging on. And I will not be leaving quietly. Alrighty. So thank you. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the Changing Earth news because we have had some crazy stuff happening and we need eyes on the situation right now.
Dream, survive, thrive. This is Changing Earth News.
Alrighty. So this is going back all the way to July because we missed last week with the live podcast, but we're back again. And September I'll be on time, and I have got some cool shows planned coming up. But yeah, we're sticking with the monthly for now. I'm gonna try to get the lives that I do at night up on my podcast stream as well. There's just a little bit of technology involved there. So I will try and get it up for you there as well so that you can listen to the audio if you can't make the shows and stuff. I think that'd be really cool to get it up. So we'll see. I'm working on that right now. I've just been drowned in so many projects. And the Changing Earth audio drama will be back. I don't think, not this week, not next week, but the week after that, it'll be back. And we've had some great content in the interim. But if you're not caught up, right now is a great time to get caught up. And if you haven't checked out the YouTube videos yet over on the Changing Earth podcast, or I'm sorry, the Changing Earth audio drama channel, check that out. I'd love to hear feedback. I've been trying to do like slide images for just to give you something other than the bouncing ball to watch because, season one was just like rando videos with the bouncing ball. So, and those are a lot of work. And if you're not enjoying them, then I will quit doing them and I'll just put up rando with the bouncing ball again. But if you think they're cool and worth my time, I think they're pretty darn cool. So I enjoy making them. But man, it is a lot of work. So let me know what you think about that. That'd be great. Okay, so early July to early August. So super typhoon Bavi reached category 5 intensity. It passed over near the Northern Mariana Islands. This includes Guam. It caused extensive damage, wind damage, power outages, flooding, debris. If you guys haven't seen about the El Nino that's coming this year, go on and check that out. It's going to be a super El Nino, but it's performing like different than anything that they've seen before. So we are changing Earth, and kind of be aware of what's going on with that. Look that up, the super El Nino for this year. It's just kind of killing their weather forecast. They don't know what'll come. Anyway, this system later affected the Philippines, Taiwan, and eastern China with heavy rain and flooding. And then tropical storm Maisak triggered severe flooding in China's Guangdong region. Guangdong was compounded by a dam that collapsed. It contributed to this disaster. 39 people were killed, additional people missing, and roughly 130,000 people evacuated. So these kinds of events are the ones that I'm like, heads up, because we've been having this crazy rain and just hitting random places. And we have a lot of reservoirs and dams in this country. I've done a lot of shows on them before that are in need of repair, that are old, that are 100-year dams, and they're at the end of their lifestyle, or their lifestyle, at the end of their life. And then we started fracking around them as well, in particular the Fort Peck Dam up north. And so these are the type of disasters I really worry about. In Bangladesh, a monsoon driven flash flood affected more than 1.1 million people in the Cox's Bazar, Bandarban, and Chattagram. Man, try to say the world names right. Dozens of deaths were reported, tens of thousands of houses were damaged or destroyed, and water and sanitation systems were heavily impacted. So that is yucky. You're standing in sewage flood water. This is why I always recommend having some type of like a blow up raft that is not going to just break, some kind of waiter, something like that to keep you out. Of course, never get that in your mouth. The flooding water is disgusting. And if you're in a city area, it's definitely something. Oh, the down in Louisiana, the cases of the flesh-eating bacteria as the ocean increases temperature, and then somebody goes in the water with a wound. I think they've had like 5 people die now from the flesh-eating bacteria this year. So you just don't know, right? I would say stay out of the water. Where I heard that from the most is like women getting manicures or pedicures. I've only gotten one in my life, but when they go, they don't shave ahead of time, because if you were to nick yourself shaving, then you're exposed to so much more bacteria and stuff. I'm like, wow, that is gross, but it teaches you that survival lesson about, if you're going to go swimming, make sure you don't have that kind of thing going on, and definitely avoid that flood water if you can. Keep it off your skin. France had significant heat waves all across Europe. This was the third and the fourth one to hit. We're talking 104-degree temperatures in Europe, which is crazy pants. And obviously, with it being that dry and that hot, and they don't have AC, it is increasing the wildfire danger, straining their power systems and their water system. So I think they're so against all the AC because they just don't have the power infrastructure that the United States kind of has to keep that going. So lo and behold, then came in the significant wildfires. Guys, listen to these numbers. So 1 acre is equal to like 2.4 hectares. It's something like that. It's definitely double, and I think it's a little bit more. If Chin was here, he'd have the number for me. But so one complex alone in France, 42,000 hectares of land. So you're up pushing almost to 100,000 acres. You're looking at like a huge Cali fire there. Large scale evacuations. Spain got hit by fires. Um, Burned 50,000 to 77,000 hectares. And this is described as the country's largest on record at the time. Total Spanish burned area for the season reaching 100,000 to 170,000 hectares. That is crazy pants. We just had some big fires here in the United States as well, that did more damage, but and Spain and France are big countries too. Like California is not as big as Spain is. But when you look at those numbers in those areas and they're just not used to it, that's pretty crazy. So, also North America, we had the wildfires, the Aspen Acres fire in Colorado with 100,000 acres. We had the fires up by Spokane, Washington. I believe that was actually started by an individual and they had him in custody. That was the one that was like for exceeding 100 to 300,000 acres up there that burned. So we're well above average in that area for our wildfire season. California has been doing pretty good. Keep praying for that to continue. We had the fires up in Canada. Specifically in the Ontario area, it was bringing some really bad air quality down to the United States. That was approximately 314,000 to 320,000 hectares, making it the largest wildfire in Ontario's recorded history. Um, I've still got family up in Michigan, and I know they were having a hard time with that. It got going, and then it moved up to, let's see, to 735,000 hectares. That now we're looking at over a million acres of land for that, for those fires. July 3rd to 4th, we had a coronal mass ejection. Everybody out there, if you've ever watched Suspicious Observers before and you love hearing the news from Ben as much as I do, please pray for him. I don't know exactly what's going on, but he had to stop his morning show. That was his daily show. I don't know specifically what's going on with him, but if it's personal or if he's receiving pressure from the outside world, but I believe it's the latter, and he's going to need some prayers to keep his platform alive and everything like that. So um, keep in mind, what we do is not always easy. Okay, so July 9th, a short lived, moderately explosive eruption occurred at Canlaon volcano in the Philippines, producing an ash cloud estimated at 2 to 3 kilometers. Was a big one. No nearby towns were injured. No people were injured in it. It was just a big eruption. July 17th, there was a 7.3 magnitude earthquake that struck offshore near Puerto Madero in Mexico along the subduction zone there. Definitely eyes on the West Coast right now, guys. Guatemala was affected. They found building damage, that kind of thing. But for the amount of earthquake activity that has been happening around the Ring of Fire, it's almost eerie that there hasn't been a little bit more out of Cascadia, out of the San Andreas, as far as just shifting to be able to absorb that pressure. So definitely eyes on the West Coast right now, guys. If you live there, make sure you have shoes next to your bed at all times. You have gloves nearby, that kind of thing, because if stuff goes wrong while you're sleeping, at least then you have what you need to protect yourself to start going through the damage of what's going on. I was smiling because I keep thinking about that darn tomb bed where like you fall asleep and then if there's an earthquake, it goes down and like turns you into a little tomb that protects you. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I can do that, but it's there. I'm sure somebody has it. Maybe in Japan. Oh, they have those tiny little apartments in Hong Kong. Maybe if you had one of those, you'd want one of those beds. Might be more comfortable anyway. Or if you could even get it in that building. Okay, July 19th onward, there was a cloud burst in Nagaland. And I'm like, what the heck is a cloud burst? So it's just these sudden onset of thunderstorms that are like, can put down 100 millimeters rain per second. It's just insane amounts of rain coming down. I mean, we're hearing more and more about these things. And as the polls continue to go and whatnot, we're going to be looking at it more and more. So we need to really be able to batten down the hatches on our homes and things like that. So if you're doing any kind of build, any kind of renovation, these are things you want to think about walking into the future. Anyway, this cloudburst in Nagaland, that's in India, it dozens to nearly 100 deaths were reported in successive updates, with hundreds of thousands of people affected or displaced, extensive crop and infrastructure damage, and prolonged inundation of villages. So, big time rain events happening. And then with the super El Nino coming, it's going to be really an interesting winter. It could either pop off or it's going to be like nada. So, we just don't know. And the models are crazy too. They're just having a hard time with it. Magnitude 6.8 earthquake. Some agencies were reporting as high as 7.1 hit in the Kumamoto region of Kyushu, Japan. Strong to severe shaking affected a large population of people. It caused landslides and liquefaction were serious concerns. This is a big earthquake when they get liquefaction, guys. This is like what nightmares are made out of. So the earthquake hits so hard that your house just sinks into the ground. And then when it stops shaking, boom, all that ground hardens again. Or you, if you're outside, you're just walking along, all of a sudden this earthquake hits so hard that you just zoop into the ground, then it stops shaking. Now you're just locked into the ground. Like that is just some crazy, scary stuff. So let's just keep praying that that never happens to any kind of town uh, and on our planet because that is not nice. July 31st to early August. So I have had eyes on this problem in particularly with particular interest. A magnitude 4.7 earthquake struck Campi Flegrei. That is a huge super volcano over in Italy. It's been so quiet that they actually built homes in the caldera. Like, let me say that again. Built homes in the caldera. That is just insanity to live inside a volcano. So they did it, and I mean, eruption of Campi Flegrei on a huge eruption scale would be the same thing that like we've always heard about Yellowstone. It could be like the 40 years of volcanic winter, kind of like in my books. Once you reach the halfway point, so if you haven't read the books, check it out because that's what happens to the changing Earth. And from so much prophetic content, that's what happens on our planet. You know, that you'll see the birthing pains, you'll have the volcanoes erupt, then you're going towards the next ice age, then it all just starts over again. So that's kind of where I went with my stories, and it's just how do we get there? Um, so that one I have eyes on. It wasn't just the one earthquake. That would have been like no big deal, but they've had swarms and swarms of, high intensity earthquakes, buildings cracking, that kind of thing. 2,000 people, those are the people on the caldera pretty much had to get evacuated out. They had ground lift up. It's still ongoing. So it is a yellow alert on Campi Flegrei right now, and eyes on that situation. Like that could be big problems on the changing Earth. Also, Kilauea is showing noise again. Kilauea continues to, do its thing. It happens very often. Luitoba, Laki-Laki in Indonesia is erupting. That's also been known to erupt. That's the volcano where the hikers were up there last year, I believe, and got hit by one of those eruptions. Venezuela's got them going off. So again, with all the activity we're seeing around the Ring of Fire, and then to not see the activity at the West Coast is just a little odd. It's like a lockup. So either there's enough points where it's being released softly, which we're not really seeing. Some swarms. It was further south though, so I'd still have eyes on it. Europe's continuing to face extremely high wildfire risks. So if you're over there in Europe, heads up, you guys are still under a very intense heat advisory. So are we in Texas. It's hotter than heck. And that bubble doesn't look like it's moving anytime soon. So lucky for me, I get to go to North Carolina soon. Um, Elevated temperatures across all of Europe, France, Spain, and continued geomagnetic activity. I know I missed one area because they also had some severe flooding over in Afghanistan and all that as well, where they had some really, really bad storms over there. that brought in a lot of destruction from the rains that are going on over there in the Middle East. So just kind of that flip-flop system. As far as volcano numbers go, um, I can pull it up and kind of give you a bird's eye view again of what's happening there. I always go to volcanodiscovery.com for that information. There you go. If you're watching live on X right now, you can see what's going on with that. And then I'll also post the video over on YouTube. But we've got Stromboli and Etna still erupting. I mean, look at the Ring of Fire just going crazy, coming all the way up towards Mexico, and then just nothing on the West Coast. And this is all volcanoes over here. Look at this activity. I mean, just Australia. This is Vanuatu. Indonesia is just hitting. Kamchatka. All of this stuff is just hitting. So this is the Alaska. The Aleutian Islands are hitting, but then nothing along the West Coast. It's just like there's some kind of a barrier over here that's like protecting it or something. I don't know what the scoop is there, but it is just crazy to see that amount of activity and not have, anything going on in California. And then I didn't do a count today. Oh, this Titan Ridge is new. That's interesting. And then if you come to this map, you can see like it shows you where that is and everything like that. It'll show you where it is. But 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, oops. I didn't actually want to go there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 14. Oh, yeah, we should support them. They do a good job, Oh, thank you. And there, say 14, say 20, 28, and I'm 31. So 37 up in there. That's actually come down a little bit. Used to be up at like 40%, or I mean at 40 of them erupting. So I might be a little bit off of my math doing it fast, but if that's the case, it's come down a little bit. Still, eyes on those volcanoes, especially if we start seeing a lot of earthquake activity. So let's go over and check that out. Let's go over to, oh, this is wildfire news. Let's check out what's happening on the wildfires. Oh, preparedness level 5. And what else do we got? Let's go down. Here, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so I can see it better. 94 large wildfires, new are 8. Looks like we have Oregon up on top. That makes sense. Colorado, California's way down here, right? I mean, that's awesome for them for this year. Washington, Oregon are up there at the top. Montana. Let's look at big fires. Here we go. See, Oregon's got this 1,821,000 acres on fire right now. Washington's down to 516, 2 new, none of them contained. That's owie. 20 fires total. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, Nevada. That's pretty high numbers for Nevada. Idaho. There's a lot of people there now. They're using a lot of water. And of course, Colorado coming in there. We talked about some of the big fires in that in Colorado. And then let me show you what's going on with those earthquake numbers as well. It's funny because a lot of times when I'm at work, the mic makes me so quiet. I've taken to kind of mumbling or making some kind of noise while I'm thinking, oh, that was a nice kick. And so No, that's why I do that. Make a little noise. Oh, we are in Spanish again. I got to get to the English one and set that as my favorite, but not a big deal. I can read it anyway. Let's see. June we're at 17,979. This is 2.0 or greater. No nines. We had one that was a 7 or 0.0 or greater. And then serious? That has got to be a misprint. Look at this. 1,042. I mean, we've got more in August and it's only the 9th. So I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, that's got to be a misprint to be only 1,000. So I guess our numbers are kind of screwed up anyway. I mean, and then these are the largest ones that they show you here on the map. These are the biggest ones that went off. I know there's a big one in Central America here, and then a big one up there. That's just a little bit north of the Cascadias. This area of China is always going off for some reason. I don't know what is out here or what they do out there, but this area of China is just always very, very active. And then look at these are big, deep earthquakes that hit down here at Vanuatu. Um, that usually sends earthquake activity around the globe. So, but the one that happened there in Central America was pretty big news. You probably heard about that one. And then these were the ones that popped off already for the month of August. See Vanuatu hitting big time over here. The one that was up there, Japan actually got another 5-pointer there because they had the 7-pointer last month, which should be on here. So that's crazy. And then the big one over here that happened, that's by, there we go. Look at that. Already different. August 26th. Look at this total is already much higher, 6,000 instead of the 1,000 they reported. Let's go back and click on just for kicks and giggles, and then I promise I won't take up any more of your time. We'll be out of here. But just for kicks and giggles, let's go click on July and see what we get. Yeah, here you go. So 20,810 for July. So that was a pretty big increase. We're talking like 3,000 increase on that one. No 8 or higher, but there was that one 7-pointer that was higher. And then just a bunch of little 2s. That's just light rumbling. But again, see this in China. That area of China, I don't know. It's always going off. Yeah. So there you go. Earthquake activity kind of on the uptick. We'll see what August has to hold. I'll get a report for you on September. I kind of like sharing it with you on the live, though. That's kind of fun. And make sure that we have those volcano numbers a little bit more dialed in. I've been forgetting counting, but that's also fun. All right, guys. Well, I promised you a short show, and it looks like I actually did a long show. If you'd love to connect, like I said, I'm doing the Facebook Live, 9:30 p.m. You can come find me there. That's where you can comment and stuff. I mean, I'll see your comments if you comment on Twitter or YouTube as well. I've had a bunch of people popping off on YouTube. So that's always awesome. Love to hear from you guys. If there's something you like have a question about publishing or about survival or about anything, I mean, I can find you answers. So I'm totally open to exploring that with you. And 9:30 Central Standard Time over on Facebook. Love to see you there. Thanks for spending time with me today, guys. I really appreciate you. And I hope I'm going to see you out at Prepper Camp. If not, then you need to come out for next year. Get that information. Come out and see us. It's always a grand event. It never fails to disappoint, even when we got hit by a hurricane. So, yeah, hopefully we just keep praying that never happens again. But until next time, remember, dream, survive, thrive.
Thank you for listening to the Changing Earth podcast. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, and leave a comment or a review. Help make the Changing Earth world go around by purchasing the Changing Earth novel series at Amazon.com or get your signed copies at ChangingEarthSeries.com. Get your Changing Earth gear and become a paid subscriber for extra goodies at ChangingEarthSeries.com.